afternoon. I'm Ashok Kabbalah. A partial win for D.C. officials. They've reached a settlement with the Trump administration over the federal police takeover. Attorney General Pam Bondi says the district can keep its police chief in place. But in a new order, Bondi is directing D.C. to cooperate with the administration's efforts to enforce federal immigration laws.
Washington, D.C. has won back some control of its police department, but just some, as Mayor Muriel Bowser acknowledged late Friday.
I'm encouraged by the judge's remarks and the federal government making the changes that were suggested.
One day after the Trump administration attempted to box out D.C.'s police chief and temporarily replace her with Trump political appointee Terry Cole, the head of the DEA, the D.C. government sued, a judge intervened, and the administration agreed to pull back.
Correspondent Scott McFarland. Wins News Time, 2:31. Let's get you where you need to go with Andre Farrow.
And big problems in New Jersey if you're traveling on the westbound side of 280 over by exit 12 near the Garden State Parkway. You have two left lanes are knocked out with an overturned vehicle. This is over in East Orange. You also have some problems on the Garden State Parkway northbound, exit 137 in Cranford. Two left lanes remain blocked with a crash, and that's also causing some southbound rubbernecking delays. Here's what you need to know about the bridges and tunnels. 20 minutes into the George Washington Bridge. The eastbound side of 46 and the southbound Palisades ramp, also some slight volume there. Outbound George Washington Bridge, at least 35 minutes with the cross Bronx delays. About 15 of the outbound Lincoln. More 20 minutes of the outbound Holland. Both inbound are around 15. Not too bad. The eastern and western spurs heading north of Newark Airport and passing that area of the Newark Bay Extension in New Jersey. You have delays heading up towards Route 3 and approaching MetLife Stadium. Keep in mind tonight, Jets-Giants at MetLife, so that should be a lot of volume around the area. So if you're traveling on the westbound Staten Island Expressway, very slow from Highland to Victory, continuing westbound. 10-10 wins at 92.3 FM.
Now the AccuWeather 4-day forecast with meteorologist Brian Thompson.
And Ashok, we have a couple of showers and even some rumbles of thunder that have popped up this afternoon, especially out toward the Poconos and Catskills. There have been a couple of showers, a little closer to the city, across western parts of Rockland County. So especially across North Jersey and the Hudson Valley, that's where we have the best chance for one of these thunder showers to pop up. Most areas, though, will stay dry through the rest of the day. And while the clear to partly cloudy sky tonight, a bit on the muggy side, the humidity has certainly been higher today than it was yesterday. We'll drop down to 72 tonight. A hotter day tomorrow, still humid with sun mixing with clouds. There will be a late day or evening thunderstorm in spots with a high closer to 90. Partly cloudy, still sticky tomorrow night with a low of 71, but the humidity will drop off pretty nicely into Monday. It's going to be a noticeably cooler day with clouds and some sun and a nice breeze, high 77. And sun at times on Tuesday. There could be a shower well west of the city. Tuesday's high about 78, high still in the upper 70s with some sunshine on Wednesday. Right now we have a mostly sunny sky. It's 83 degrees in Midtown, and we're heading down to 72 tonight. I'm AccuWeather meteorologist Brian Thompson on New York's weather station. 1010 wins on 92.3 FM.
There is a conservative push to roll back marriage equality and leave same-sex couples at risk.
The Supreme Court may choose to take up a case this fall that could lead to it revisiting or overturning its 2015 ruling legalizing same-sex marriage. At the nonprofit Lambda Legal, CEO Kevin Jennings says,
somebody will get hurt if we overturn marriage equality, and that's same-sex couples.
Jennings points to a case brought by former Kentucky clerk Kim Davis, who spent days in jail for refusing to issue marriage licenses to same-sex couples after the ruling legalizing such unions. The court hasn't decided whether to hear the case, but Jennings warns,
regardless of what the Supreme Court does around Kim Davis, there is going to be future attempts to roll back marriage equality.
Correspondent Allison Keyes with that report. A new U.S. Air Force policy denies transgender troops hearings before they're discharged.
An Air Force memo says that transgender airmen ousted under a recent Trump administration directive will no longer have the chance to argue before a board of their peers for the right to stay on. The memo says military separation boards must recommend discharge if the service member's biological sex does not match their gender identity. Military legal experts advising transgender troops tell the Associated Press that the new policy is unlawful, and we're not aware of the other services releasing similar memos.
Chuck Sievertson with that report. The Air Force declined to answer questions about the policy and its legal implications. Health officials are warning hundreds of visitors to Wyoming's Grand Teton National Park they may have been exposed to rabies. This after bats were found infesting 8 cabins at Jackson Lake Lodge. So far, none of the bats have tested positive for rabies, but experts say bites and scratches can go unnoticed, especially when we're sleeping. Up to 500 guests from 38 states and 7 countries may have stayed in those cabins since May. Cabins have been shut down. Officials recommend anyone who may have had contact with bats seek medical advice immediately. Rabies causes nasty and dangerous symptoms that would be tough to ignore, but early treatment after exposure is highly effective. The Breakfast Club is in 1010 Wins Entertainment next on 92.3 FM. Wins News Time 2:38. 1010 Wins Entertainment. Simple Minds. The song takes you right back, right? The Breakfast Club. It's been 40 years since detention, and to mark the film's anniversary, we have the chance to see it on a big screen. Molly Ringwald and Judd Nelson, Ali Sheedy, Anthony Michael Hall, Emilio Estevez, and the John Hughes classic. It'll be in theaters nationwide on September 7th and the 10th, and tickets are on sale now. The Oasis reunion tour has had a bunch of drama so far. Liam Gallagher had to apologize for a racial slur on social media, saying it was unintentional. A fan fell to his death at one of the Wembley shows a couple weeks ago. Now the frontman's been banned from throwing instruments into the crowd after a woman was injured catching maracas. She told the Daily Mail she caught the maracas, but then 2 men tried to wrestle them from her grip, causing cuts and bruises to her hands and legs. Traffic on Sunday nights in the summer can be as bad as the weekday rush hours, so we've added expanded traffic reports to get you where you need to go Sunday nights through Labor Day.
The News Watch never stops. This is 1010 Wins at 92.3 FM. You give us 22 minutes, we'll give you the world.
Mostly sunny, 83 degrees. It's 2:40. Good afternoon. I'm Epoch Pachinko. Here's what's happening. Lawmakers in Queens are speaking out after ICE detains a second grader and her mom. Yet another subway attack. The victim slashed in the face this morning in the Bronx. Suffolk County cops are investigating what they're calling a targeted shooting at a house party last night. The victim is critical. A rally outside Trump International Hotel in Columbus Circle, part of the National Day of Action against the president's congressional redistricting efforts. And how much time do you think you spend every day looking at screens?
Every day, I start by hitting up Facebook, Twitter, Tumblr, and Instagram.
The Mets host the Mariners at 4:10, Yanks Cardinals at 7:15. AccuWeather says a thunder shower in a few spots across North Jersey and the Hudson Valley into the evening, then clear to partly cloudy, muggy down to 72. Winds News Time 2:41. Let's get you where you need to go. Here's Andre Farrow.
And we have double trouble in Lower Westchester County. If you're traveling northbound on the Spring, right by Jackson Avenue, that's a crash with injuries. You might want to go with the Thruway or the Bronx River Parkway. On the southbound side of the New England Thruway, heading down towards exit 15 into New Rock City, we have a stall knocking out a lane. Delays that go back to Weaver Street. Everything southbound in the Bronx is terrible. Trying to use the southbound Henry Hudson Parkway, the southbound Deegan, south of the Marshalloo, southbound Bronx River Parkway from Allerton Avenue down to the Cross Bronx, and southbound 95 and Hutch are slow, especially the Hutch, passing the Bruckner Interchange, southbound 95 by Bartow Avenue. You're going to need that extra time. Here's what you need to know about the bridges and tunnels. 30 minutes in at the George Washington Bridge, 45 on the outbound side with the Cross Bronx delays, 20 minutes on both sides of the Lincoln and Holland. Big delays heading up towards the eastern and western spur, north of the Newark Bay Extension. Super slow there. And we have that crash on 280 to deal with, an overturned car on 280 westbound by exit 12 in New Jersey. All lanes are now closed and being held, so just take it slow in that area. And also the northbound Garden State Parkway, we have a crash right around exit 137. Andre Farrow, 1010 Wins at 92.3 FM.
A second grader in Queens is now the youngest known public school student here in the city, detained in the Trump administration's immigration crackdown. Dyra is 7, a student at PS 89, the Jose Peralta School of Dreamers. She was taken into custody along with her mother this week during an immigration check-in at Federal Plaza. Councilman Shakar Krishnan represents the district of Dyra's school in Queens. He says both he and Assemblymember Catalina Cruz are working together on the issue.
We are in direct contact with the family. We are in direct contact with the legal services organizations to make sure they have effective legal representation. This family is not alone. Jackson Heights, Elmhurst, our city stands with them.
Mother and daughter are at a detention center in Texas, while Daira's 19-year-old brother is being held in New Jersey. Advocates say the family fled domestic violence in Ecuador. They had been denied asylum but continued to follow reporting requirements. A subway rider was slashed in the face in the Bronx early this morning. Cops say the victim refused to give a panhandler money on D train at the Kingsbridge Road station around 4 this morning. That's when the suspect slashed him with a knife and took his phone and backpack. A second person was robbed of his phone but not injured. The victim suffered a minor injury and refused to go to a hospital. Cops are still looking for that suspect. On Staten Island, a man was shot and killed by an off-duty cop last night after aiming an imitation firearm at the officer.
Police have identified the man as 44-year-old Jesse Campbell. Assistant Chief Melissa Eager says they received multiple calls about him with a gun behind Andrew's Diner here.
An off-duty officer observed the same male with a firearm displayed.
He was seen on nearby William Avenue where two off-duty cops moved in.
The officers gave multiple verbal commands, but he did not comply and pointed the firearm at our officers.
Police later discovered that it was not a real gun. Campbell died at a nearby hospital. Darius Ramsey's 1010 Wins and 92.3 FM in Eltingville, Staten Island.
On Long Island, an investigation underway after a teenager was seriously injured in a shooting at a house party in West Babylon. It was just after 11 last night. Cops found a 17-year-old boy with multiple gunshot wounds on 11th Street. Detectives believe the victim was targeted. Suffolk County Police are looking for info. Their Crime Stoppers number, 800-220-TIPS. Hey, if you were at Newark Airport on July 29th, health officials have a measles exposure warning for you. Terminal C on the 29th between 5:30 and 9:30 at night. Or if you were in Terminal A on July 30th between 1:30 and 7 p.m., symptoms can take up to 3 weeks to appear. They include high fever, cough, red eyes, and a rash. Officials say if you have been exposed to measles, call your doctor before going to a clinic or emergency room. Protesters rallying outside Trump International Hotel in Columbus Circle. It's part of the National Day of Action against what organizers call a Trump takeover of congressional maps. The Working Families Party is leading the event here in the city, joining more than 200 demonstrations across 34 states. Jasmine Gripper is co-director of the party. She tells 1010 Wins.
We're building momentum to say that New Yorkers are not going to be idle while Trump erodes our democracy, while he cuts our health care, that we want to stand up and protect each other. New York City will remain a sanctuary city, and New York State is a place where we can go for refuge.
Republican-led redistricting efforts could add up to 5 GOP seats in Congress, starting with Texas. Organizers say the president is trying to rig the midterm elections next year by silencing communities of color. Ukrainian President Zelensky will visit Washington Monday to meet with President Trump after Mr. Trump's meeting with Russian President Putin in Alaska ended with no agreement.
After the U.S. and Russian leaders left Alaska without an agreement on Ukraine, Zelensky said he held a long and substantive conversation with Trump early Saturday, thanking him for an invitation to meet in person next week. Trump also held calls with European leaders and said that if it all works out, he'll then schedule another meeting with President Putin. Zelensky said he spoke to Trump one-on-one and then in a call with NATO leaders, in conversations lasting over 90 minutes. The group, including the head of the European Union, France, Germany, and the UK, then released a joint statement saying they're ready to work towards a trilateral summit with European support. Zelensky last met Trump in the Oval Office in February. I'm Nayan Kim.
New Orleans Mayor LaToya Cantrell has been indicted for a years-long scheme involving her police bodyguard. Federal prosecutors say Cantrell arranged taxpayer-funded trips and time alone with Officer Jeffrey Vappy while he was on the clock, then tried to cover it up with encrypted WhatsApp messages. She's charged with conspiracy, fraud, and obstruction. The officer has already pleaded not guilty to wire fraud and lying to investigators. Cantrell, the city's first female mayor, calls the case politically motivated, saying she's been unfairly targeted as a black woman and being held to a different standard than male officials. New research confirms the sad truth of our daily existence. We're looking at screens for about 6.5 hours.
The virtual phone system toll-free forwarding says people check their devices an average of 58 times a day. Half of those checks are during work hours and within 3 minutes of the last check, slashing workplace productivity by as much as 40%. The average American scrolls for a total of 86 miles a year. Arizona has the highest average daily screen time in the country, 8 hours and 50 minutes per person each day. Washington is a close second, followed by Kentucky.
Sorry, what was that? I was just scrolling.
Oh, I'm sorry, Michael Wallace.
Wins News Time. 2:51. Let's get you where you need to go. Here's Andre Farrow.
And big trouble remains in New Jersey. An overturned vehicle on the westbound side of 280. Right by the Garden State Parkway, you have two left lanes closed and big delays. They're actually intermittently holding traffic. You might want to use 78 as an alternate. We're still working on that crash on the Garden State Parkway northbound by exit 137 over in Cranford. Two left lanes are blocked, and that's also causing some southbound rubberneck. And westbound Staten Island Expressway, bumper to bumper from Highland to Victory. Here's what you need to know about the bridges and tunnels. Inbound George Washington Bridge, 25 minutes, 45 minutes on the outbound side, and the Lincoln and Holland tunnels are at least 20 on both sides as well. Southbound on the Cross Island Parkway in Queens from Bell down to Northern is bumper to bumper. Stick with the Clearview if you're using the Throgs Neck Queens bound. Andre Farrow, 1010 wins at 92.3 FM.
Now the AccuWeather 4-day forecast with meteorologist Brian Thompson.
Well, Ashok, for the most part, we've been enjoying some sunshine throughout this afternoon, and there have been a couple of showers here and there. There's a few just west of Staten Island right now. A couple of showers popped up between Plainfield and South Amboy and Madison Park. These are moving off toward the east-northeast. Nothing particularly heavy, but again, just a couple of showers that have popped up. We had some showers earlier in parts of Rockland County. Those are pretty much fizzled out. And then north and west, well north and west, up toward the Catskills and Poconos, there are some heavier downpours making their way to the southeast. We'll see how well they hold together over the next few hours. There will be a thunderstorm in a few spots across North Jersey and the Hudson Valley into this evening. Otherwise, muggy tonight with a clear to partly cloudy sky, low 72. Hot and humid tomorrow, sunshine mixed with clouds. Could be a late day or evening thunderstorm in spots. Probably a better chance tomorrow versus today, as there will be a cold front approaching. Tomorrow's high near 90. Partly cloudy and sticky later tomorrow night with a low of 71. But by Monday, the humidity drops. Could be noticeably cooler with clouds and some sun, high 77. Partly sunny, maybe a stray shower Tuesday, high 78. Mostly sunny and 83 degrees. Right now in Midtown, we're going down to 72 tonight. I'm AccuWeather meteorologist Brian Thompson on New York's weather station. 1010 wins on 92.3 FM.
The Grand Ole Opry has a new star, and he's only 3.5 years old.
Elmo was introduced by Lauren Elena.
All the way from Sesame Street, y'all make some noise for my friend Elmo.
Elmo was there with his Sesame Street pal Abby Cadabby to help bring in the Opry's 100th anniversary. Wearing a blue cowboy hat, he handled a duet with Miss Lauren. Elmo and his Sesame friends have sung with country's biggest stars for decades, from Johnny Cash to Chris Stapleton, but the Opry is the Opry.
Michael Toscano reporting. PETA wants Nintendo to remove the brass nose ring from the cow character in the new hit game Mario Kart World. The animal rights group says nose rings are a real-world tool of cruelty. In the meat and dairy industries, they cause pain and discomfort for cattle. Now Bloomberg Money Watch.
The merger of Paramount Global and Skydance Media may be official, but the hard work may not be over for Chairman and CEO David Ellison.
As hard as it's been for David Ellison to get this deal across the finish line, it's going to be even harder to figure out what to do with this company.
Lucas Shaw is author of the Screen Time newsletter.
It mostly owns a bunch of failing or declining cable networks, I should say, and a movie studio that's been mired in last place, in a streaming service that is a little bit of an also-ran.
The new Paramount Global will start off with at least one popular, lucrative franchise under a new contract.
Going down to South Park, gonna have myself a time.
The creators of South Park reached a new fight.